Hey everyone, I'm Andre, also known as Medler.
And I'm Paul, aka Pabro. Today is Thursday, January 30th, and we're back for another dev update. We're going to check in on some of the changes we made for Season 1, and we'll talk a bit more about some of the things coming up in Act 2 of this season, which starts on March 6th. We're a bit over a month into the first season of 2025, and we've been following how changes have been landing closely. We've seen some really good signs and feedback to things like seasonal themes and some of the gameplay changes that we will touch on a little later.
But first, we want to talk about Hextech chests, and more broadly, earning skins instead of buying them. This means we're going to talk a bit more about the business side of League so that we can share more of our thinking and context with you. Now, our belief as a company is that delivering great experiences for you will lead to great results for Riot. We want to deliver the best experience we can, that you can play forever without spending anything, so that you only spend money when you think we've made something great that you want to spend money on.
As a free-to-play game, skins are the primary way League pays its bills. They're what give us the ability to continue to develop the game and wider ecosystem, from adding new game modes to updates to Summoner's Rift, cinematics, live events like Worlds, patch-to-patch balance, and much longer-term investments in League for the future. The number of people playing League has been pretty stable over recent years, and we're really grateful for that. Our cost to maintain and develop League has also been pretty stable over time too, ensuring we have an equally sustainable income coming in to reinvest in the game, however, has been frankly more of a recent challenge.
And that's where free Hextech chests come in. When we initially added them, we wanted to offer additional reward for time spent using something we knew many of you really cared about earning: skins. And for a while, we think that worked well for both players and the business side of League. Over time, though, free chests unintentionally became the primary way to unlock skins, and an increasing number of players ended up with substantial skin collections for free. This meant that purchasing skins directly didn't make sense anymore to a lot of players, because they were happy just waiting to get something eventually. That did lead to a great player experience, but it was not sustainable for League in the long term.
So we took a step back to evaluate League's reward systems and realized we needed to make changes to be sustainable for the long run. We didn't want to go all the way back to the early days of League with no skins earned with playtime at all, but we also realized we couldn't continue giving away as many as we were. We did a number of other things to ensure League's business was sustainable before concluding we needed to give away fewer skins. Increasing the number of skins we could make each year was good for both the business and the player experience, but eventually we ran into meaningful diminishing returns. We introduced premium cosmetics. We've also explored a lot of other cosmetic content types, and we'll keep trying to do so. But champion skins are clearly the thing most of you care about more than anything else when it comes to cosmetics. And obviously, adding pay for power content is a non-starter for us.
We know some of you aren't interested in the business side of things, or even cosmetics in general, and that others won't believe this isn't about increasing profit year over year. This is about ensuring the sustainable long-term health of League, though. And we do hope this is helpful context for those of you who've been wondering what our thinking was with this change. We want to ensure League remains a great, fully free-to-play game. We believe a change like this, while unpopular, is the right call and allows us to deliver not just on our plans today, but also our plans for League in the future. Now, we'll be sure to give you more context on our thinking behind changes to skins and any other related systems in the future as well. And we're currently doing a lot of global surveying and discussion with players about what is and isn't working.
Speaking of which, we want to talk about some changes we have coming to Battle Passes. First up, we've got some improvements to the Battle Pass skins. We've heard a fair bit of feedback that those skins don't feel like they're good enough in various respects. We agree with a lot of that feedback. We're going to be looking to add more distinct visual effects and more pronounced model changes. We're also planning to deviate from a season's theme a bit for some future pass skins, given the risk we otherwise overdo the same sorts of visual appearances and/or pushing champions into themes that don't make sense.
Now, because it takes some time to make or modify skins, those improvements won't be present in the Act 2 Battle Pass skins that you'll see in a couple of weeks. They will, however, be fully reflected in the pass skins for Season 2, which starts in May. Additionally, if you don't already own the champion for the Battle Pass skins, unlocking the skin will also unlock that champion for you.
We also want to clear up how skins in the Battle Pass affect the champion's skin cooldown. We don't look at past skins when deciding when a champion is due to get their next regular skin. So if Alistar appears in the Act 2 Battle Pass, he can still receive another skin later this year. Another improvement we're making to the Battle Pass is to the missions that feed into it. Looking at your feedback, certain types of missions are pretty unpopular. We're going to be removing missions that require playing with purchase skins or players who have purchased specific skins.
We're also removing and reworking missions that players were having a hard time completing, like destroy 5 turret plates in a single game, which was hard to complete for many players and impossible for ARAM-only players. And for those of you who play a mixture of League and Teamfight Tactics, we'll be roughly doubling the amount of XP that TFT contributes to the League Battle Pass.
Now, with that said, let's hand things over to Matt and Eduardo to talk about gameplay.
Hey friends, I'm Eduardo Riot Cadmus Cortejosa.
And I'm Riot Froxon. Just as a heads up, it's playtest time right now, so things might be a little loud. But we have a few things to discuss today. First, I want to talk a bit about how some of our gameplay changes we added in January have landed. Let's start by talking about one of the biggest changes that we saw a lot of conversation around, Feats of Strength. As a reminder, Feats of Strength were introduced to provide more structure to the early game and defer some of that early game snowballing until after laning phase by moving the immediate power of First Blood and First Turret to later in the game. These were a bit rough around the edges on release, and we made some adjustments to things, like changing the Feat of Warfare from First Blood to First 3 kills, and nerfing Triumphant Boot stats. They're currently in a stable place we're quite happy with. As for snowballing, our goal was to keep it roughly where it was before Season 1 went live. We've been comparing this game state with pre- and post changes based on First Blood, First Turret, epic objectives taken, and game length. As of now, we haven't seen significant changes, and snowballing is roughly equal to where it was at the end of last year. There are still some improvements we'd like to make, of course, but overall, the changes are moving the game in the intended direction. Next up, let's discuss Otacon and the Blood Roses he brought to the Rift. Otacon was added to provide an objective in the mid-game that has rewards worth fighting for, progresses the game, but doesn't completely blow everything open like a 20-minute Baron would. We also wanted a way to incentivize teams to fight each other in slower games while not speeding up already fast ones, which is what led to the two different forms, one which incentivizes action, and the other that lightly stalls it. That said, we think Voracious Otacon's rewards are too strong in game warping, so next patch, we're increasing the withdrawal time to 15 seconds to give defending players a bit more time to recover after forcing enemies to withdraw. Next up, we have the Blood Roses, which we introduced alongside Otacon. After the nerfs last month, we like where Blood Roses are for now, and that they reward teams for proactively controlling these spaces. Another big component of our seasonal changes was the Noxian update to the Rift. We're excited to keep doing these for future seasons, but we definitely want to make sure we're doing them right. We've seen a lot of your feedback around the map feeling too dark, gloomy, or ice draining, and we've got some changes in the works to address these concerns that should be ready with Act 2's release. We're excited about the prospect for new gameplay that the Season 1 changes have created as players continue to learn and adapt to them. Having said that, when trying to add new gameplay to League, especially ones of this size, we're not always going to land it right away. We're trying to strike the balance between making quick changes based on your feedback and giving the changes enough time to breathe while we iterate them to a pot where everyone is happy with. We've got more details breaking down our review of the Season 1 changes in a dev blog out now, so make sure to give them a read.
We also wanted to give a quick update for all you Swifties in our newest queue, SwiftPlay. We hoped that SwiftPlay would be at least as popular as QuickPlay, and it has far exceeded our expectations. We're currently figuring out how and when to bring it to regions that don't quite have it yet. So far, SwiftPlay has hit the goals we set for it, with game endings on average 4 to 5 minutes faster than SR. We also wanted to reduce snowballing via rubber banding mechanics, allowing players to hit their full builds more often, and allowing players to enjoy a game of League of Legends with friends of higher skill gaps.
When it comes to balance, we're pretty happy with the early and mid game, but endgame pacing and outlier game lengths are issues we want to address. SwiftPlay just doesn't hit our goals for the queue when games aren't swift, and everyone is stuck at level 18 trying to close out the game for a long time. We've made some changes, such as minions getting stronger more quickly, tower resistances falling off sooner, as well as making structures slowly burn towards the Nexus, forcing the game to end. This will essentially mean that if a game lasts long enough, the team that can make the most progress towards the enemy Nexus will win. We're also going to be looking at what we can do to improve things like matchmaking or lobby improvements for pre-mades, and we'll let you know if we do anything there. These changes should be live by the time this video goes live, so let us know what you think.
Next, we want to talk to you a bit more about what you can expect when Arena returns in Act 2 of this season. As we mentioned in the last dev update, we want to make sure game modes are something a player can always count on being available, making them a fun part of each season. For Season 1, we've moved Arena from the Rings of Wrath to the Grand Reckoning, new maps and all. As you can see, we've overhauled all the maps to feel like you're in the fighting pits of Noxus. And we didn't just reskin the maps, we actually made some improvements. Here's a new version of the Koi Pond map. The biggest change you'll notice here is the giant ring that goes around the perimeter of the map, aptly named the Ring, which will help address a lot of the quality of life issues. This was actually inspired by some player feedback that we read. So shout out to the community for your awesome suggestions, and as always, please keep them coming. We also have a brand new map joining the pool, the Reckoner Arena, which features destructible pillars, which will collapse upon taking enough damage and slightly tweak the terrain. Don't worry though, they're relatively small and you won't obscure your vision.
Another part of Arena we've been working on is progression systems that we're really excited about. Not only do Champion Mastery and the Seasonal Battle Pass both progress with Arena games now, but we also built a new Fame system for Arena. Many of you mentioned that you didn't feel like you had a reason to keep coming back to Arena, so Fame was designed to keep Arena fresh and interesting, even after you've played dozens of games. You can gain Fame by playing Arena, increasing your notoriety within the fighting pits, or by completing Arena missions for each champion. Just to be clear, this isn't like Swarm where you gain power by progressing. Instead, you'll gain rewards like new augments or match intro visuals that should keep Arena feeling exciting.
We're also trying something new by skipping cameos this go around and celebrating Arena Noxus style by bringing in the Guests of Honor. These guests are famous Noxians or Reckoners looking to spice up your fights. Each guest will have a specific rule that they'll apply to the entire game. For example, Mordekaiser will make it so that at the beginning of each round, one player on each team starts combat in the Death Realm. We designed the Guest of Honor with a lot of learnings from cameos in mind, so each guest should feel like they affect each team equally without being too intrusive or unfair, yet still asking players to learn or adapt to them. They also won't be random either, so everyone in the lobby will have a round in which they can vote on which guests they'd like to invite. Please, as always, let us know how you like them. It also wouldn't be an Arena re-release without some new augments, so make sure to keep an eye out for those alongside the return of Curse augments. If you're interested in more details about Arena, make sure to check out the dev blog that just came out today, and I can't wait to see you all in the fighting pits.
All right, we also have a few other updates that we want to share with you all today. We finally got those updated Champion Mastery emotes coming out in March. They've taken a lot longer than we'd hoped. We haven't forgotten about them though. The Blue Essence Emporium will also be making a return at the start of April. And as a reminder, the next Battle Pass will include the increased Blue Essence amounts that we shared earlier in January, which you can also get for this current pass in the form of a one-time mission.
On a different topic, we've got a test of the matchmaking system called TrueSkill 2 coming up. We're going to be trying TrueSkill 2 for SwiftPlay and ARAM games from late February onwards for a while. We think TrueSkill 2 has the potential to help us get players to a fair and appropriate matchmaking rating much quicker than our current implementation can. Given how important matchmaking is to competitive games like League though, we want to test and verify first before going really broad with it. So we'll run the test for a while and then let you know how it's been going and what our next steps are or aren't. This work on matchmaking, however, has meant a trade-off to work elsewhere, to Clash specifically, because the team doing that work is the same team that would otherwise be supporting Clash. For now, as a result, Clash will occur every 2 months instead of monthly.
And last for this section, a bit of context on streamer mode that recently went out. That's been a long requested feature from some players who stream. Given it's one of the things that can help reduce incidents of stream sniping and other forms of streamer harassment or disruption. It's clearly not a solve by itself, but we do think it's a useful part of a wider and ongoing effort. We also wanted to take a moment to talk about what you can expect after we leave Noxus. Historically, our mid-year events have been mostly a time for some levity and lightheartedness, like Star Guardian or Anima Squad. And while this may not be the case for each year's second season, we want Season 2 of 2025 to be a bit of a palate cleanser after so much focus on Noxus.
Now, that said, you can still expect a cohesive thematic that spans things like map art, updates, a new champion, skins, and more. We don't want to spoil what's in store just yet, and we've still got some fun focus on Noxus ahead of us for now, but we'll be back in our next dev update, where we'll dive into what you can expect in Season 2. That's about it for this one. Don't forget to check out the dev blogs to learn more about some of the things we talked about today. And as a reminder, the First Stand tournament will be kicking off in Korea on March 10th, so be sure to tune in to watch the full Fearless draft and see which team can bring home a second bye for their region at MSI.
All right, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks all.